Yeah, yeah.
And suddenly what I saw is some Indian family just put it on that phone and say hi to me. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, let's jump straight away. Hello everyone. Today I have a special guest on my show, Amman Patel. Amman is a United States sports commentator who has provided his commentary services in the National Cricket League and Minor Cricket League as well. He's a commentator, he's a sports show director and a podcaster. And today we are here to discuss everything from Indian cricket to US cricket, from our favorite NBA teams to the X Factor players in the upcoming World Cup. We got a lot of topic to discuss. So stay glued and let's start the show now. How are you doing, man? You're in Mossaville, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah. I live in Mooresville. I actually live 5 minutes from the Church Street Park ground.
So, how it all started? Just tell me first.
Sure. I started a podcast in 2019, and I kind of, always loved sports. And then minor league cricket had their exhibition season, and I reached out to the team in Mooresville, like, hey, I'd love to start calling games or try to call games for you guys and send them some of my stuff. And they let me do it, and it kind of just latched on from there. They liked it, so they kept me back for the first inaugural season. Second season, I got to do the finals, and actually in 2021, I called the USA versus Ireland series, which was really cool. I called the USA ODI series, so it's been a really cool little journey that kicked off.
Because obviously, I want my listeners to understand what is US cricket. Initially, just few week back, I interviewed a guy called Kashyap Prajapati, who is an Oman batter.
Yep.
And he said to me that time, if you really want to know something about associate cricket, go and first know about the US cricket. Because US is having a strong base when it comes to cricketers. Because they have a lot of players out from the outside. Like the players who couldn't make it to the Indian cricket games or Australian cricket team, they came there and start playing with their work. And because it's semi-professional right now, but they are hoping that after the World Cup, this year World Cup, is something going to change, because this is something which is big happening. If you can explain me the US cricket domestic structure to my listeners, it will be fine.
Yes. So in the USA, we do not play any test cricket. We are a white ball country, so T20 and ODI cricket. And minor league cricket is our real domestic structure. It was deemed our national championship. They got awarded it in 2018, and it kicked off in 2020. And because the U.S. is such a big country, spanning 3 or 4 different time zones, we have never been able to really put together a league that spanned the entire country. Minor league cricket was able to do that. In its initial year, it had 27 teams that played each other. They would just go travel across the country. It was a semi-professional cricket league that incorporated some guys who played professional cricket elsewhere overseas. Those names would include guys like, Harmeet Singh, Arnab Chand, Andres Kraus, guys of that nature who have kind of come and emigrated to the States. And those guys were considered domestics because they're on the path to play for the USA. Those are people who have moved to the USA basically full time. And we coupled that with our national team players, the likes of Stephen Taylor and Aaron Jones, and then with some of the young guys and guys in local leagues across the United States that came together, and it was a really cool first season. We had playoffs that culminated at the end of Church Street, and so we've had 3 years of that now with 3 different winners. And in a country where we play white ball cricket, the T20 domestic structure has been really beneficial for us.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting which you mentioned about Unmukh Chand, because I remember Unmukh was actually a big face for us around 2011. I actually remember I was in class, I don't remember, I think maybe 3 or 4. So I got to know because India won under-19 World Cup that year, 2011. And he was a captain, made century against Pakistan, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, he made century against the final match of the under-19, and he suddenly got a boom because the next year there's a World Cup coming, which is in 2012, the World Cup, T20 World Cup. Okay. And then this is the question which I'm sure you are also intrigued of. A lot of players, a lot of fascinating cricketers in the junior cricket suddenly got disappear in the international forum. And it happened. What's the reason you think about this?
No, like you mentioned, it happens in India and it happens in the U.S. And I think for our country in particular, the reason it happens is because there was no structure beyond the under-19. It was under-19, and then you hope to make the national team. There's really no in-between. There was no domestic circuit. There was no way to keep yourself on the minds of selectors. And that's what, minor league cricket has done. It's a way for people who are transitioning in between under 19 cricket and the national team cricket to keep their name amongst the faces and the minds of selectors, and also I think for people like Unmukt Chand who maybe are looking for a fresh start. Maybe just things didn't go well in their home country, to come to a new place, whether they're here for love, they're here for work, they can still play cricket and try to play cricket at the highest level. I know of someone like Tarmai LaRue who played a lot of cricket, big, great left arm seamer. He came to the USA because his wife came to the USA, and then he found cricket. Someone like Rusty Theran, same kind of deal, came to the USA with no intention of playing cricket, and now basically the third pacer for the USA team and goes with them on most tours. So it's a really cool blend here that minor league cricket has done for not only people from other countries who maybe want to rebuild their cricketing life, but people from the United States to have that bridge to the national team.
Look, I really want, if it comes to associate teams, what I really want to see, because yes, there are a lot of players. We know in England team, if you remember 2019, when there are a lot of players that are actually not from England. A lot of players are, if you can say, Jofra Archer is from West Indies, and then we have an Irish captain over there. The reason, because I really want to know about our associate team, is I'm pretty much sure after this World Cup, you will see a lot of changes as far as the popularity is concerned.
Yeah, I think cricket has started to pick up in the U.S. for sure. I mean, we've had, I think, the 3 seasons minor league, and then Major League, I think, was a really big part of that. I think we had a lot of people who came to Major League. I was talking to a lot of people who came to their first cricket match for the first time because they were near it, they saw it, and they liked it, and they came back. There was, there are people who have never been to one, and then just was hooked. Someone like John Boy Media, he deals with baseball. That's his forte. He watched the T20 World Cup, and now is hooked and has a whole branch on his channel talking about cricket. So, I think the World Cup, I think having access to cricket is something that's really cool, and it's definitely spread the game. I know when I talk about it in college now, more and more people are saying, yeah, I've seen that around, I've heard of this. And again, I think that the World Cup will definitely help that, just because, again, more cities, more venues, more people talking about it. And maybe cricket never gets to the level of an American football or basketball here, but from where it was 20 years ago to be hosting a World Cup, it's pretty special.
It's pretty much so. And congratulations to you, man. You're there. I mean, I'm sure you will host for sure one day. Yeah. I really want to see you on any. You are in Sports Extra, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes. So I'm in school for sports journalism. So I'll be finishing up school. I'll have graduated by the time the World Cup rolls around. And I'd love to be a part of it in any way. I mean, like I had a conversation with my dad who, when he emigrated here in 2001, from Gujarat, and he said, if you would have told me when I immigrated here 20 years ago, there's not a chance I would have believed you that India Pakistan would be playing in New York. That just wouldn't happen.
Jeez, man,
it's very cool to see that at coming to fruition in 24.
What's the situation of ticket over there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of worried souls for the USA team. It's mainly because of we haven't played a international T20I outside of the ICC qualifiers really since 2021 in our Ireland series. We haven't seen that unit a lot, and there's a lot of new players becoming eligible. We talked about the likes of Anjit Patel and Harmeet Singh and some of these guys becoming available, and you'd have to imagine someone like Corey Anderson. Are they a shoe-in to the team? Are they going to be considered? There's a lot of questions to be had. How does this work? One of the best performers in Major League Cricket was Nash Kendrick. I mean, he was one of the guys who turned a lot of eyes. He hasn't played a T20 since 2018. So it's a lot of us USA Cricket fans are screaming, why hasn't he? But there's a lot of real there's concern for it because we know how good the team can be, but there's a lot of question marks with 6 months to go, and I think that's the most concerning thing right now for the team going into the World Cup.
I think Aaron Jones over there and Monak Patel, as you mentioned, these
Yep. Captain Monak Patel, Vice Captain Aaron Jones. Yeah.
If I talk about X Factor, what is the X Factor you're looking for in the US team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the X factor for the U.S. team is going to be from our former captain, Saurabh Netravalkar. He's a left-arm seamer, very skilled. Swings the ball in both directions from the left, can open the bowling, bowl in the middle, bowl at the end. Very good with the cutters. I mean, if you look at Washington Freedom versus San Francisco Unicorns and a couple of the balls that he bowled to dismiss Marcus Stoinis and Shadab Khan, those balls swung in so much. He is someone who can create a lot of problems. Especially playing in Dallas, that surface is green. There's going to be swing. That he can be someone who can be a problem. And again, when you talk about X factors, I think the biggest problem is I don't know who's going to be on the squad. There's a lot of names. If Andres Kraus is there, I think he's a huge X factor. It'd be hard to imagine leaving both the captain and vice captain out of the team. Both of them really good bats. One keeps wicket. Aaron Jones can be really explosive at times, bowls some part-time leg spin. The name that's most synonymous with USA Cricket is Stephen Taylor. Left arm bat, opens the batting. He's the best U.S.-born talent that we've produced since probably Bart King, which is over 100 years ago. So, again, I think Sarab Devarakonda might be our most important piece, but I think Stephen Taylor, if he can get going with the bat, there's probably no better set in associate cricket than when Stephen Taylor's in full flow.
It's so wonderful because I remember I was talking to Oman batter Kashyap Prajapati a few days back, and what he mentioned to me is that the left-arm pacer, and it is the current world of left-arm pacer. Take example of Shaheen Afridi as well. Okay, we have Steve Singh who did really well in the Asia Cup, the last year Asia Cup.
Yeah, I think the unique thing about the U.S. is because we're such a big country, you'll have different types of wickets all over. Like I said, Dallas is a little bit greener of a wicket. There's swing on offer. There's a little bit of turn. That one, it's a very good wicket. Dave Agnew does a great job with that. Down in Fort Lauderdale, it's a little bit more like the West Indian wickets. Maybe not as much swing, but bounce will be solid. It just kind of comes on. Bowlers have to work a little bit extra. Probably more spin on that surface later on in the tournament. And the biggest question for everybody is in New York, right? India's playing all but one match in New York. That surface isn't ready yet. It's going to be a drop-in wicket. So I have no idea what that's going to look like. We haven't seen a lot of games played in New York. I haven't seen any games played on turf in New York. So there's a lot of questions to be had with that New York surface. But for Dallas, we've seen Major League seam the whole way through. Good wicket to bat on too, plenty of runs available. And we've seen the Indian team play in Fort Lauderdale as well. There's some spin on offer for sure. And the spinners will probably be the X factors down in Florida.
Yeah, I think India is not playing for the first time, I believe. They already played in America.
Yes. They played a couple times by now,
Or, like you mentioned about the drop-in pitches, it's no new thing for Indian team, man. Because I remember in Australian grounds. So most of the Australian grounds are actually drop-in pitches. What is going to be? Is it going to be a little down or a little bit of, the bounce and speed as well? Fascinating.
Yeah. What's kind of interesting is I think we've all seen the stories about how there was two Bihar teams that showed up to play Mumbai in the Ranji Trophy. What is it like? Is the Ranji Trophy still deemed as the domestic product for Indian cricket to get to the national team, or is it kind of move away from that? How has it changed since the IPL and kind of the T20 game?
Separate these two questions about T20 game and the Ranji Trophy, because I'll tell you what Ranji Trophy is. Ranji Trophy is basically a 3 or 4 day game. Okay? You play a 4-day game to judge the patience and what we call the test cricket format players. Like a lot of people are building test cricket players. But when it comes to T20 and the IPL, India started playing T20 cricket around 2006. I think first game was against South Africa. And then what happened, the first tournament that India had before IPL was Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, which was totally T20 game. The T20I tournament. Understand the whole format of the T20I cricket in India. Yes, there is a bit of, the selection process when it comes to Indian team is actually, you cannot say it or totally solely depend on IPL. Yes, a few things we saw because we saw a lot of T20I cricket in general. If I can argue with that, okay, let's say, take an example of Ranji cricket players who are making runs. And on the other side, people who are making runs in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy and the IPL. And we have a T20I tournament is coming. Where you will go? You will definitely go to the IPL and the Syed Mushtaq Ali rather than going for Ranji Trophy.
Right.
Because that two major tournaments and people who are making runs in the IPL and T20I games, like T20 domestic game, you want people from that side, not from the Ranji Trophy. But when it comes to Test cricket, World Test Championship is there. And when it comes to 50 over as well, where we have to make a solid partnership around the middle overs, then you need players from the Ranji Trophy. Okay. Sure. And then not only Ranji Trophy, we have other trophies as well, which is a 50-over tournament. So Ranji Trophy and that particular tournament, the 50-over tournament, you can take players when it comes to World Cup. And we actually saw this in the current World Cup, which India played really well till the finals. in the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are a lot of players who are in the mix who came actually from the Ranji Trophy, not from the IPL. A lot of time people are actually arguing why selectors are selecting people from the IPL. No, they're not. It's wrong, man. So what tournament will come? And if you have a domestic block already decided, okay, this is the domestic cricket format, like Shahid Mushtaq Ali's 20 cricket and T20 World Cup is coming. Let's go and watch this game first, and then we'll move out to this. Suppose in India right now, Ranji Trophy is going on, and we have a Ranji Trophy is going, and after that we have to play India versus England as well. The 5-match series. It happened. So people will get selected from the Ranji Trophy as well when it comes to India versus England T20 Test match series. But when it comes to T20I cricket, T20 World Cup, the upcoming World Cup in United States and West Indies, you will see a lot of players from the IPL as well. This is the fact. Sure. So it depends on the tournament.
Right. No, absolutely. It makes complete sense. Even guys like Rinku saying it makes sense, judge the IPL performance that he should be in.
Rinku Singh also made a lot of runs in the domestic cricket as well.
Yeah.
And it's a reason he got selected for the 50 overs game as well, right?
Yeah. And so you mentioned the World Cup coming up, the United States and West Indies. India's kind of come up short in the last couple of World Tournaments, getting to semifinals and finals, but not being able to cross over that line. What do you need to happen for 2024?
Look, from the outside, understand the whole scenario, man. 2013 and 2011, let's take the two particular examples first of all, okay? India won 2011 World Cup first. And then suddenly after 2013, which is also a 50-over tournament, which turned out to be a 20-over final, Champions Trophy. Yeah. So it was a golden era. At the same point of time, it's an era where we saw a lot of things going in favor of India when it comes to luck, because luck is definitely needed. Go and ask South Africa what is luck. Yeah, go and ask South Africa where they lose. They lose in luck. That's it. So luck is an important factor, man. And understand what happened after that. 2014, India versus Sri Lanka final. 2017, India versus Pakistan, that Champions Trophy final. 2016, semi-final against West Indies. It's not a skill game. If it's a skill game, then India will win. It's all about the mental game as well. It's a baggage pressure which India is carrying. So if you ask me where India shots in mental block. India is having a mental block when it comes to top tournaments finals. If you can see that game against India versus New Zealand, which happened just recently, the semi-finals one, India made 398 runs in Bombay. What happened? It seems like a game was slipping away when Daryl Mitchell was batting. Kane Williamson was batting. If you saw that game, what happened is, I think India won that game of margin of around 60-70 runs, which looks really big, but India also made 398 runs as well. Yeah.
Right.
So 398 runs and you won that game of the 60-70 runs margin, which means batting is supreme from both of the sides for sure. Batting was supreme from both of the sides. And if we talk about a lot of if and buts, what happened if Daryl Mitchell stayed a little bit longer, right?
Sure.
So this is all about the mental stigma which India won that game, yes. And what happened in the final, we all know. They are carrying the mental baggage because we love cricket so much, Naya, in the Indian circuit, that we want our team to do well. It could be any game. It could be a game against West Indies. We'll say, no, we have to win against West Indies. And then after winning, they say, oh, West Indies is just a growing team right now. Why are you missed? Go and check the Instagram scroll, reels. I'll see this because I follow a lot of Indian cricket news channel. Suddenly there's a negative news coming if someone don't perform. Jeez, it's crazy. And I'm sure this is not in the US, right?
Yeah. There's always naysayers no matter what. You can never please everybody.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to please everyone, right?
Yep.
What about the US? If I can ask you about, apart from the US, apart from the cricket, what actually US sees when it comes to sport?
Yeah, I mean, the US sports market is very much in the US, in the sense of, everyone's watching American football. That's the biggest thing, and it's not close. 9 of the 10 most watched events of the year for the United States was the NFL, the National Football League, and it's the same kind of. You can never please everybody. Everyone's got opinions. It's debate culture. It's this should have happened. Me and my buddy, we're friends we're friends, and we're fans of the same team, and we just had like a 2-hour conversation, like almost an argument about what should happen with the Patriots, so with our favorite team, and what we should do and how we should approach things. And there's always discrepancies, and it's like that everywhere. And the U.S., where sports is kind of just second nature. It's kind of just part of living. And it goes with every sport.
It's not only thing.
Yeah, no, it's there's so many to go for, yeah.
And that is like
yes.
No, in India it's different for sure.
Yeah. And speaking as an Indian cricket fan, what is it when you watch cricket around the world? Is it just full member cricket, or do you guys watch associate cricket? Are you looking into the SAT 20 or Major League cricket or things like that? Kind of what is when you're not watching Indian cricket? What kind of cricket are you watching?
So, yes, there's a bit of sports like cricket going around when it comes to BBL, because Big Bash League is something which we follow. I think for me, it's a New South Wales team is always favorite because a lot of players like Jason Sandhu and a lot of players I really love watching them. So, I think for me and from a lot of friends of mine who actually used to watch BBL when we were just in first year, initially they watches BBL, and because Asian subcontinent is so much into cricket, so we have a PSL as well, which is in Pakistan.
Yes.
So yes, few players from other side as well, like Darren Mitchell also played, if I'm not wrong. I think the guy 2019 World Cup winner from England. What's his name?
For the World Cup, Jason Roy. Is it Jason Roy?
Yes, Jason Roy. Absolutely. Yeah. So Jason Roy was I used to follow him when it comes to PSL as well. Because there are a lot of teams like Lahore Qalandars and a lot of teams which he used to play. Rashid Khan also is there. Yeah. And when Afghanistan was rising around 2018, when they got a chance to play a first test, so obviously there's a reach of Afghanistan Premier League as well, which unfortunately landed just for 1 year. Afghanistan Premier League, which we saw, and Sri Lankan Premier League is also, and because Sri Lanka and Bangladesh Premier League is something which is actually not exactly the level of IPL. But yes, a lot of subcontinent people watch this. Subcontinent is something which is revolve around cricket. And we have to admit this always. Whatever will happen, they will play some or the other. If they don't have a bat and ball, they will play with some slaughter or something. Don't worry.
Right.
Yeah, man. So, yeah. I have a question for you, by the way. Yeah, I think, so what do you think about USA cricket future when it comes to, and I'm pretty much sure you want to see your team playing test cricket as well. But before that, it's a long process of ODI cricket and T20I cricket. What do you see about the future of these teams?
Yeah, I think that what I've understood from the goal of USA Cricket and the administration is to be a full member nation without playing Test cricket. I don't think there is a desire to play Test cricket from the board's perspective. I think it'd be cool to see our boys in whites. But I do think with the way Test cricket, the direction which Test cricket's going, the money's not being, the money just isn't there for the market value. I think the ODI world, the T20 world is where associate nations have the best opportunity to maintain a board, maintain players. And I think there's a bright future for USA cricket because I think the influx of, we call them ace players, or those are players being brought over from overseas that are going to be living here full time. I think they're bringing a sense of professionalism to the States, that the sense of competition to some of the guys who've been on the national team for a very long time. Kind of, if you're on the national team, it feels like you're always going to be on the national team until you either, retire or you just kind of fall completely out of form. Very rarely you see players just completely fall out of that circuit in terms of who's on the national team. But I think those guys are really pushing the envelope there. I think that Major League is a very good thing. It's giving our domestic guys their best opportunity to play in front of the biggest lights. So, again, we're going to look back at Nosh Kenjige. He's playing in the ILT20 right now as a part of MI Emirates. Saurabh Netravalkar's up there as well. Corey Anderson, getting picked because of what he did in Major League. I mean, the Major League cricket's been a big thing. I think there's a lot of really good people involved with Major League cricket. I've worked with a lot of them closely. They all have the right intents. They all want cricket to work in this country. And I think when you have a lot of good people working on something, it's hard for it to go wrong. Now, there's always going to be people who you don't think should be doing some things. And there's always, people that might not have the best intent. But I think it's as bright as it's ever looked for the USA right now.
Yeah, it depends on person to person. Exactly. Like how one person wants to take that particular thing forward. If you just go forward to it, like apart from the US cricket and Indian cricket, what are your thoughts on Test cricket?
Yeah, I love Test cricket. I don't get to watch it too often. Anytime it's on, I'll stay up till midnight, 3 a.m. I love watching Test cricket. I think it's fascinating. I don't think there's quite another format of a sport that is like Test cricket, where I explain it to my friends. You can play 5 days and you end it with a draw, and it doesn't. People think, that doesn't make sense, but when you watch it, it feels. It makes sense, right? You're batting time. It's not about can you just go out there and score? It's a game of patience and a game of character, and it's a resilient game. I really enjoy Test cricket. I think, unfortunately for Test cricket, I think there was a lot of denying that Test cricket was falling out of favor. I think, very early on when it started, I think everyone kind of believed, Test cricket is the proper way. It's going to work. This T20 thing doesn't matter. Test cricket is still going to be the way. And I think people realized, hey, wait a minute, Test cricket might be might be the child that's not getting fed in the 3 format group a little bit too late. And they've tried to throw the World Test Championship out there. I just, I don't see Test cricket being there maybe 20, 30, 40 years from now on a regular level. I think maybe it's, because people, South Africa, look at the Test squad they're taking over, right? The players are wanting to play for the SAT20 because that's where they're going to make money. And and if a major board is doing that, I think that's how you know it's the beginning of the end, or maybe very close to the end. I think Test cricket's unfortunately on its way out. I hope I'm wrong.
As well. It got a lot of criticism as well from South Africa.
Yeah. Cricket Australia, Pat Cummins, they didn't like it at all. They didn't like the way it was going. But again, at the end of the day, you have to look at the end of the day, you have to make financial gains. And for boards that aren't the big three, it's been hard to do that. So it feels like Test cricket's going to be the first one that's going to go.
I was just watching one interview of Harsha Bhogle. I'm sure you know Harsha Bhogle. Yeah, so he mentioned that why South Africa is playing a lot of T20I and the odd game cricket rather than just Test match. And the West Indies team, he also mentioned just 2 Test matches. Just 2 Test matches they normally play. Because they don't have exactly a amount of financial services, which actually just push them to play a lot of Test cricket. And what I'm excited for, if you ask me as a person, I'm really excited to see India versus England Test series. I will not watch every session, but if I'll get a chance, I'll definitely watch it. So there is a chance, and as you mentioned, that if South African team will not send the particular player which we as a viewer just want to see. I really want to see Quinton de Kock play. I mean, not exactly now, but when he was playing, I really want him to see it. And if you don't see exactly that player, so any team, like for example, if I see any Indian team in the World Cup, which you don't know, any random player, so it is going to be a complexity as well. And then, because we want to see Virat Kohli. There's no doubt about this. It's more become of a face game, and when face becomes star, it's so hilarious. I'll tell you one thing, a very quick incident right now. So Sachin Tendulkar was playing his last series against West Indies in Bombay. And that match, 200 match of his. And what happened, that the guy which was batting with him at that point of time was Cheteshwar Pujara, the Test cricketer. He made double 100 against England before that. But whenever Sachin takes run and give a strike to Cheteshwar Pujara, a lot of people over there actually booed that, oh no, I don't want to see you. And suddenly what happened when Sachin got a strike, everyone started cheering up. So a lot of people say, what is happening, man? Are they playing for India or are just playing for Sachin Tendulkar? No, yes, they are playing for Sachin Tendulkar over there. So if we can, and this is a question for me, from my side for you, because you have to create a solid starter. For example, if I say that I want my friends to watch, because India is on the same group which US have. So if I ask my friend that, let's go and watch Virat Kohli batting against any other team in the group A. But I really want to see any US player name as well. That, let's just watch him. So according to you, you mentioned a lot of players. And the wicketkeeper as a ball is one player which you really want to see, that now he's like a player, like a lot of people talk about Babar Azam, Kane Williamson. These names are actually stick to our tongue. We know them. If you want Indian listeners to know one name which is actually going to be a good for you, who is going to be?
I think the best character in USA cricket, the one that it's easy to identify with, who's going to, he plays off the crowd. It's Ali Khan. He's a right arm pace bowler. He bowls 140 clicks, and he's a fan favorite because he is a showman. Ali Khan. He's a showman. I mean, if I'll give you an example. Earlier this year, in 2022, he broke his hand. Was 6 months out. He broke it against Jersey. Came back in an ODI against jersey to start 2023, takes 7 wickets, and he was celebrating so much. He got fined by the ICC. But this is a guy who's he's roaring, he's fist pumping, he's going to throw his armbands out to the crowd. He plays with so much emotion. And I think, you mentioned we root for players, root for characters, and I think that's what kind of drives the modern game, those characters. I think one guy on the USA team that is a character, it's Ali Khan, and I think that's a guy that people can definitely latch on to.
And fair to say that bowler wins your tournament, not the batters. So let's get a hint now. Yeah, the bowlers win the tournament for you, not the batters.
Yep.
As a four, I mean, in the top 4. What's wrong in it? Just dump it on. Why not? Because
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I really want as a team, as an Indian fan, I really want to see India doing well. At the same point of time, I really want some other team as well. So, what name comes to me? Someone will say, "Oh, let's go for the New Zealand team." Come on, let's go with the associate team as well. What's wrong in it? Yeah.
I mean, look, I think these associate teams, they're gonna cause some problems. I think we've seen Netherlands already beat the South African side. I think Nepal is playing some of the best cricket that they've played under their new head coach, and they're a side that's dangerous. I was kind of upset that they were paired in the same group because I think those are two probably the strongest associates over there. And, even for a team like Uganda, where I don't expect them to come out of the top 2, I do think they can create some problems. I think they can steal a game somewhere because of what they can do bowling and opening the bowling, and they have a left-arm seamer who swings it incredibly. That Oman team is so tight-knit. They can get going at any point. But if you were to ask me who are my 2, maybe favorites of the associates to come out, I think Nepal and Netherlands, I think those 2, it wouldn't shock me if they ended up in the knockouts.
You're talking about Uganda, the first time they qualified for this. So I was just looking at their back cycle, like the history, and it mentioned that they really performed well, man. In the African qualifier, they just ripped off everyone over there. It's a fact that they played the best cricket in the African qualifiers. You're talking about the Netherlands team, so it's better to say right now that Netherlands is not at all a bad team in any format. You've seen that 50-over tournament, okay?
Yeah. No, they can play. All these teams, I think the beauty of associate cricket is that the fight isn't on the field. The fight to play cricket, the fight is to get to the field and play. A lot of these players have other jobs, have other commitments, have to give up a lot to play. They're playing on maybe some grounds that are subpar, on pitches that are so-so, with facilities that are so-so, but they're there to play cricket. So when you get them playing cricket and you get them in a place where they don't have to worry about the ground, the wicket, the facilities, now they can just go out there, express themselves, have fun. And that's why I think you see a lot of these teams just performing, because they can just go out there and they're not worried about anything else. They've already done all the sacrifices. Now it's just you get to go out and play, and that's the beauty. I think there's a lot of grit in associate cricket, and I think that's the beauty that remains in that kind of pool of the game.
If you ask me, what is associate nations, like associate cricket nations, I'll say shock, because we saw a lot of shock as well, man. 2022 when Pakistan lost against Zimbabwe, although Zimbabwe is a full test team, they play a lot of ODI cricket. Dude, what do you think about the financial service? I saw a lot of times that in the Olympic Games, in the British, in the US, a lot of things are coming from the corporate world and putting into the sports team. If I'm not wrong, in the Olympics it happened when corporate actually put over there. So what do you think about the corporate and the locals, especially corporates? Are they doing something for the financial stuff?
So, the corporate sponsors, that's something that happens quite often. You rarely see sporting events that don't have it in the USA. We haven't seen a lot of it with cricket. I think the USA team hasn't had a sponsor in a while, but we saw for Major League Cricket, Satya Nadella, he's a part owner of the Seattle Orcas. He's the CEO of Microsoft. So you're getting more of these interests and more of these corporate enterprises to kind of put the money into cricket. And we've seen a lot of people from the subcontinent start to take over certain companies, Alphabet, Microsoft. So they're starting to put in some money, and I think there is a great opportunity for corporate sponsors to be a big thing. I think the biggest thing that prevents that is if the USA hasn't played many games, and if they're not playing games, you're not putting your company's name on a jersey, and you're not getting that in front of eyes. broadcast quality is also, it can be hit and miss at times. You never know what you can get anything from a 1-camera static stream to a 5-camera with ball tracking. You never really know what you're going to get. So I think that's probably the couple biggest things is that in the USA, we haven't scheduled too many international matches in quite some time. And then the broadcasters, it's always just so, you never know. And and I think the ICC is going to do a really good job in these next cycle, because I think this cycle that lasted from about 2017-ish, this kind of broadcast cycle, did a lot better than what it did in the previous couple of cycles. And then I've been talking to a couple of guys who, someone like Andrew Leonard, who's worked in associate cricket for a long time, worked with the ICC for a long time. He's, very confident in the ICC's ability and what they're planning to do for the next level. So I think there is a great opportunity to get corporate sponsors, because I think it is going to come down to what broadcasts look like for associate cricket, USA cricket, and beyond.
For sure, because you never want only 10 teams competing each other and fighting with each other. I just want to know about you, man, because I just saw your LinkedIn profile and it mentioned that you are also a commentator. First, you're commentating a lot of matches as well for the major league, minor league.
Minor league and USA cricket, yeah.
How it all happened? Like, you're from Gujarat, like your parents immigrated from Gujarat?
Yeah. So you mentioned my dad's from Gujarat. My mom's parents are from Gujarat. And so my dad immigrated here after he met my mom. They had me in North Carolina and kind of been here ever since. And again, he's grown up. When I grew up, he was always playing cricket, always around the game. My mom tells the story of how before he came to the hospital when she was having me, he finished a cricket match and then came. So it kind of runs in the family. And again, I always loved sports. I always wanted to be part of production. And when I had this opportunity to kind of call that exhibition game, I said, okay, let me take a chance. And I was, they enjoyed what they heard. And luckily enough, they were willing to, keep me on for another year, and then, just had a lot of great people reach out and try to, push me forward. Again, with that US-Ireland series, probably one of the coolest calls I ever got. It was the day before the series. All but one commentator got COVID, and they were looking for someone to, get in the commentary box, and I was going to help with the media stuff, but they knew I had done some comms, and they flew me down for the 2 days to fly me, then flew me back up. It was kind of a wild, 48 hours. Which was nutty. And then, working with minor league cricket, getting to go around the country and going to Texas and St. Louis, Florida, Atlanta, calling cricket games, and kind of being part of this cricket revolution in the United States, for lack of a better word. It's been really cool. And, hopefully when the World Cup comes, I can find my way a part of it in some case, maybe with Major League in season 2. I'd hope to be a part of that as well. But I love it. And again, at school, I always been told, hey, don't, try to keep yourself diverse, try to keep yourself doing different things. And so I learned the technical side of things, and I work, with basketball games and football games and different types of sporting events, doing different live shows and things like that. So it's been a crazy journey. It's been really fun, and hoping to do it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, man, I'm sure. So when it comes to America, just a few days back, I'm talking to someone, and after our conversation, after that meeting, I just asked someone, okay, I have to do an interview, I have to be with someone, and what should I ask? So he said to me, ask about NBA. Are you following NBA as well?
I'm a big Boston Celtics fan. So right now we have the best record in the NBA, which I'm happy about. We're kind of like the Indian cricket team. Past couple of years,
in-season tournament is going on as well. In-season
tournament
just
ended. Yeah, we just finished it. We're the regular season, like the group stage almost. And like I said, the Boston Celtics are kind of like the Indian cricket team. We've been one of the more talented teams, and we always find a way to come up short in the last 5 years. But hopefully this year's our year.
Cleveland Bulls, Los Angeles Lakers, they play a lot of matches for them. Like Kobe Bryant, and then the LeBron James is playing as well. So for me, I'm a big basketball nut, but not exactly like cricket games, but still, for me, it's a kid in the candy store moment, man. Watching basketball and cricket together, it's fascinating to me. So I think NBA is something which is obviously fascinates me, and I think Australian Open is also coming. Just going on, I think, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's sort of. I enjoy watching tennis. I was a Federer fan growing up, so he's kind of gone, and it's kind of sad to see Nadal go. But we'll see if Alvarez is still going to do his thing, or if Djokovic is going to hold forward, or how it's going to go. So I'm very intrigued.
I mean, Dad is a huge fan of when he was growing up. The best name was Boris Becker. Boris Baker over there. Yeah, the guy, the golden brown hair. So the Boris Becker is something which a lot of people are actually intrigued by. That, oh my God, it's a golden hair boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I just want to ask you last question because I'm sure you did a lot of things. You did a lot of interviews as well. Any famous interview or any part of it?
I think, man, so that U.S. Ireland game, that first one, it was my first international game, and the USA beat Ireland. It's the first time we ever beat in a full member nation, which was awesome. And then I think probably one of the coolest moments I had was when I got to call a game with Corey Anderson. I never thought, I watched him play the IPL and playing with New Zealand and World Cups, and then have the opportunity to, call the final of minor league cricket with him. That was probably pretty special for me. And then,
yeah, I'm sure Corey Anderson 36 ball 100 is something which you remember.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, he's a special individual, man.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I remember, I think which I have to share you is really crazy when it comes to domestic cricket. Lack of a better word, I'll say joker-tastic, not fantastic, joker-tastic. Why I say this word is I saw two domestic teams from the same province playing against some other team. There's a game against, I'll not just say the name right now, but I'll say the game is against the Bombay. And there's a team, there's a two-team landed to play Bombay. Two domestic teams. Jeez, man, it's something which you never heard of for sure.
For sure.
It's crazy, man. So yeah, I think that's all from my side. Yeah. What should I ask you now? I think we covered the important factors because USA cricket is also something which I'm really intrigued of. When it comes to potential, you see a lot of things from USA, especially the sports thing. And we saw a lot of things from the other sports. We know about the NBA, we know about the American football as well. But rugby is something which is actually crazy. Baseball, everyone knows. But when it comes to cricket, there's something which we don't know a lot of much. I mean, because if you see the Group A that we have as of now, India, Pakistan, Canada, US. And if I'm not wrong, one team is more. It's a 5-team. Ireland is there. Ireland is a good team. What do you think about Ireland, by the way?
I'm a big fan of Ireland. Like I said, first series I ever called was an Ireland series. So I've met Andrew Bernie, Paul Sterling, Curtis Camper. I'm big fans of what they can do. I think Curtis Camper is one of the better all-rounders walking to the circuit right now.
I mailed Paul Sterling for the interview, by the way. Just mailed him. Dude, can you just give me a 20 minutes interview like I said to you? Yeah, so 20 minutes interview just want from him. Anyway, so yeah, I think Ireland is there. So when it comes to the Group A is pretty much solid as of now. I think two teams will qualify for the Super 8. And as of now, yes, 60-70, you can say easily that India and Pakistan till now. But you want to see some sort of you never want to see a simple clash. You want to see some sort of a thriller.
Sure.
And
I think that's the hope, right? You want to have some competition, and again, I think if USA gets the selection right, I think we can compete with some teams, and I think Ireland's going to throw some problems at people, and Canada's got a good team. They're going to Hong Kong for a series right now. They're going to sort out what they want to do with that lineup in that 11, and again, I'm very excited to see what that Canadian team. They got some good players. I mean, Jeremy Gordon's got some express pace, and they got some good batters there as well. It's got a good spinner, Junaid Siddiqui. So that team can be dangerous on certain surfaces. So again, I think there's some exciting cricket to be had.
Yeah, I think you want the exciting cricket because if you remember the Pakistan game against India, 2022 Australian one, the Melbourne. The game was actually a thriller when Virat Kohli pumped off 82 runs. That game, and you want to see that sort of a games that you never want to see an inside game. And I think that team you are mentioning about the Nepal.
Yeah.
And
Rohit Baldwin, the order has been fantastic. They've got some good batters up top, and it's a very tight knit group. They're not going to crack under pressure. And again, if they can make a game close, I would have a lot of confidence that they're able to pull through.
Yeah, I was just reading something 20-over game was actually a very fickle tournament. It's like a huss and fuss. Anything can happen anywhere. I remember this is an example of a small run chasers game. What if Ireland bundle around 130 runs? Do you really see that other team can win in 20 overs? No. For example, if team was playing and 130 runs they made, the first team, and the second team was chasing, said, no man, just give me a moment. We have just 130 runs. And suddenly what they see we have 70 for 5 wickets lost and we have just 5 overs to play or 8 overs to play. Yep. That's it. You are on the pump, and we saw this against Zimbabwe game against Pakistan. 120 runs, 130 runs, not big runs, but suddenly the game... Zimbabwe won. So
this World Cup's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. I think beauty of it, from my perspective, that's been shouting for an expansion of the World Cup. Let's get some associate sides in there. Let's make it a World Cup. Let's make it feel like we've got the members of the world in it. We have that 20 teams and no preliminary stages or anything like that. I'm super excited for what's in store.
Cheers, man. Cheers. I think it will be fun for sure. Yeah. Anyways, man. So I'm just wrapping up now. Okay.
No, this was great. Thank you so much for having me on. Like it was good to connect with you and good to learn about the kind of your perspectives and things that you've been going through.
Sure, man. Sure. So cheers from my side. I just want to know about the USA cricket, how it works, and not only from the on-screen, the off-screen setup as well, because domestic is something which everyone wants to know, that where all the blasting players is coming. They're coming from somewhere. So they're coming from the major and minor leagues, listeners.
Yep.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man, for joining me with. And yeah, good luck for your future stint, man. Good luck.
Thank you, man. You as well. Thank you.
Cheers.